Hi guys, Marie here, Cowlick Ranch. I told you earlier I'd post a little something, a little clip about distressing furniture. There are a million different ways and techniques to distress furniture. I thought maybe you'd just like to learn a couple of the really simple, rudimentary ways to get you going on your next project. Obviously, I love distressed furniture because I like something that's kind of older looking, that's aged, has character, but I don't want it to be peeling and chippy. It just needs to look like it's been aged. So what I did was, I have this little cabinet here, this cabinet door, and I painted it this sulfur green. And the easiest way to distress a piece of furniture is actually to wear it down to the wood underneath by sanding it. And think about, because you're taking away the paint, so think about where this piece of furniture or these edges, where they might naturally wear away, and that's where you want to sand the most. When you have solid pieces like this, you can always add an interesting element by wearing some away more than others, or maybe leaving this plain. And the places that you want to wear away are like on these edges and corners. Now this had a little bit darker blue-green underneath, and I painted on top this sulfur. Sanding or when it is wet is not going to work, so you want to wait until you have a nice hard dry finish. And then you're just going to take a little bit of a, coarse sandpaper, and you are going to wear away the paint just in some areas. It does not have to be all. This underneath this little trim was some white, so it's allowing me to pick up some of that white underneath to really show off this piece. You don't have to do it everywhere. What I don't want to happen is I don't want there to be any place that is too rough or sharp or peeled paint. So even if you take some real rough sandpaper at first, then afterwards, when you get what you want, go back with something a little bit smoother so you still have kind of a smooth finished surface. But the key is to enhance the piece. Date it a little, enhance it. Where might the wood actually show? Lots of times the wood shows up on edges like this. Right here I've got some little darker lines and some lighter and some wood, so that is 3 different looks for this piece. Wear off some of this. When you get done, now usually with the pieces that I do, because I'm trying to distress it, I'm trying to make it look a little aged, I use a flat paint, not a semi-gloss, not a gloss, but a flat paint or a chalk paint, either one, if I'm applying paint, because you want that kind of worn look. And if you want to seal it after, which you usually do if it's a piece of furniture, seal it with something with a matte finish. That will enhance what you've already done, keep it nice and safe, but you won't have that glossy effect. So even, see, I've got some areas that I want to bring out that little darker green that was underneath here. Make it look a little more worn. If you start by rubbing kind of lightly, then you'll know what you want and how dark or how big an area you want. Don't get too aggressive with it at first, because going back is a lot harder, though you could always reapply this color if you care to. For me, I just want to pull some of that blue-green that's underneath in some of these areas. And I want a little bit more in here. I certainly do like the grain of the wood showing in some areas more than others. That's always helpful. So the three colors I have here, I have this darker blue-green underneath. I painted it with this sulfur green. This trim was already a white. I painted that over with sulfur so that when I did this, I would just get a little bit of this white showing. And it really enhances the shape of the piece. So that is, number one, the easiest way to do it is by sanding. Number two, this is a different technique. It's really fun too. And lots of times when I'm working with distressed pieces of furniture, I use both of these techniques on the exact same piece. So this piece of wood, I painted the same color as this. So it's a sulfur green. I'm going to take it and I'm going to apply some glue. So this is already dry. So this is standard, like Elmer's glue. And when I apply it, I'm going to apply the coat, but I am not going to apply it all over. I'm going to leave some spaces. Some of it will be thicker. Some of it will be a thinner layer. I'll show you when I get done. First thing to do is apply it to the wood. And I'm applying it in the same direction that the grain is. Though you don't have to. But usually when paint peels and splits, quite often it splits according to sort of the grain of the wood, and that's what I'm trying to make it look like. So I am going to show you what I have done here. I'm done applying. So if you can see, here are my glue strokes. None of them are even. There are some areas that it's thicker. There are some areas that are thinner. On top of that, while it is wet, I'm going to apply another color. A darker color than this. You might want to apply a lighter color, but a different color than what is underneath. And what is going to happen is that as it dries, the paint is going to split and reveal the color underneath. So for this project, I chose this beautiful color. It's darker than that green, and I am just running my brush over it in the same way. I am just lightly touching it and letting the paint just go over it, because you don't want to mix it up with the glue. You want to brush it over the glue. So I'm doing the exact same process. Until it is complete. Just like that. Don't mix it up too much. Just brush it right over so it covers up. Just like that. Okay. So it is going to be this thick. It's going to cover it all up. Let me get up close so you can see. So this is what it looks like. It is totally covered, that glue. So now what's going to happen? So I wish I could time lapse here for you, but what's going to happen is as it dries, the paint on top is going to split because the glue is going to make it split. The glue that is white underneath is going to run clear. So when it dries, it will become clear, and then you're going to see the color of the paint underneath. And what it actually does is, so it ages the look of your piece. It looks like you have multiple colors, or that the paint has worn off in some areas, or has peeled or chipped. It's sort of like this crackling effect. Now you can always speed up the process if you want to. Instead of just letting it sit and letting it dry, watching paint dry, right, is really interesting, is take a blow dryer. So if I were to just take this blow dryer and blow dry it over, what was going to happen is the piece is going to end up just like this. And so I'm going to put this really up close so you can see what has happened. The paint has split and cracked. And where those white areas are with the glue, they will eventually just turn clear. And so you get to see that paint underneath. So when I am painting, and I will redo, this is the little piece of furniture right here, the little end table that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be using both of these techniques. Then on top of that, I will probably be highlighting and painting. That's just painting and picking up a little bit of some of these raised areas. I certainly hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. Of course, stay safe, and every day is a great day to paint. Thanks for joining me.